go. We are live. Okay. Thanks for coming on,
Awesome.
man.
Sure. Thank you,
Yeah,
man. Thank you for having me.
it's no problem. It has been a bit of a
A
longer one
journey.
to organise, but we got
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
Um, s-
Exactly.
so can we kind of start with where you are now and where you're trying to go for the future?
Yeah, I think I'm probably at the point where I think I've found my passion in terms of what I want to do with the rest of my life. And obviously now it's more about trying to monetize that so that at least I can continue doing it, because at the end of the day I need money to survive, to
Hmm.
sustain my family. So everything that I'm doing now has got to do with doing stuff that I really want to do, not because I'm forced for money, but if I can make money out of it, it will be a bonus on top. So
Definitely.
that's the short answer. Yeah.
Okay. So what is that passion?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very much into doing a lot of things that contribute to society, in terms of solving. I enjoy solving problems. I've done IT in my past, so I was always doing a lot of troubleshooting, figuring out problems, and obviously I went more into the business side of it. Again, still solving problems, but now I feel like I don't want to just solve from like from the technical point. I want to really solve real life issues, and using my knowledge in IT, in the digital space, in business, putting that all together and obviously applying it into real life. It's a real blessing. It's a real blessing to be doing that on a regular basis, whether it will be helping a company up, or whether it will be solving something that's currently affecting the youth, or even just society in general. That is where I'm really, that's the space I'm really playing in nowadays.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Because you recently started your YouTube channel. So
yes,
is that going to
yes.
be kind of part of that helping people?
Definitely. I mean, the mere fact that I think of myself as an introvert. So obviously, a lot of my life journey has always been personal to me and my family. But now I found myself in a space where I realized that, you know what, maybe this process I've just gone through of being in a corporate space, now being out of it, and now starting business, failing in business, still being on a journey to try and make it big in life, as well as obviously be the best version of yourself. It's something that I can actually now put out into the world without really feeling very, what, like too
Self-conscious?
defensive of self-conscious. That's the right word. Thanks for that. So I definitely think this YouTube channel has got a lot to do with sharing some of the life lessons. You know, I know everyone's life is different, but I know there's a lot of common factors that we can all leverage off from each other, which can actually save someone a couple of years of mistakes, just by having seen how people do it badly. At least someone should make new mistakes, then at least we are progressing as a human race, But if we keep making the same mistake, we're just wasting time. So
Yeah.
at least that's why I'm putting myself out there to say, this is me, this is how I've been, and this is the journey that I've worked. It hasn't been perfect. The one thing that I'm certain of is that I know I'm going to make it, because I've seen that it's possible to make it. And I've also seen that the only failure is when I stop.
Hmm.
The failure is when I stop. But if I keep pushing and doing stuff, it's inevitable. I'm going to make it, and it's going to work out. And I just didn't want the story to be shared from a point when I'm now up there and making headlines to say, yeah, I used to do this. I kind of really wanted to give the dirty side of it, the dark side of it. You say, this is terrible. I'm smiling now, but it's challenging each and every day.
Yeah, yeah, the daily
Yeah,
grind. I just wanted to
the
say
daily grind.
I forgot to say at the beginning that like you are actually really inspirational to me. Like, because how you've we can get into it more, but from what I understand, you had like a business and that kind of failed, and you had quite a bit of debt, I think.
Yeah, a lot of that. I'm still, I
But
still have on it. Yeah, but yeah,
yeah,
we can talk about it.
you're still going. You're still like your mindset, like you just shared there. I think it's incredible that I believe you're gonna do it.
Thank
I
you.
see it, bro. Um, so yeah, can you
And I'm
kind of
just as inspired as you guys. I mean, you guys are young, and you're in this game, and you're already alert in terms of ways of really leveraging, making money. That's also something that I'm like also inspired by. Just to be around the community, man. It's crazy. It's amazing.
it's very good, yeah. So yeah, can you kind of touch on your business, how that kind of went? So you said it was an IT business.
It's a digital marketing, if you can put it that way. But ideally, we started this business myself and my brother and my cousin, which was back in 2013. While I was still working, I was an IT manager by that time in a small company. And then we kind of went into business because we obviously had the entrepreneurial bug, that kept saying we must do something. There's ways to make more out of this life, But then when we went out to look for solutions or services, we got charged like crazy prices. At that point in time, we were like really starting from zero, nothing. And then we realized there's a huge gap in terms of businesses coming into the market with professional looking branding and every aspect of branding that you can think of. And obviously we realized that's probably a space that we want to get into. So we came into that space as web developer, graphic design. So I was more on the web development space, and then my brother and my cousin were more on the graphic design and obviously business management, because me and business was like oil and water. I just knew my technical skills, that's it. So we kind of went with it, and then it worked very well for a moment because myself and my brother were still employed, but my cousin was the one running the business full time. So somewhere, somehow, we had obviously differences, and I think it's all because we didn't honor the principles of business. In business, everything must be black and white. There must not be any assumptions. You must not take things as if my brother, my sister. It's business is business. It's not a family thing. It's business. So we kind of didn't really know what we were doing. So we ended up splitting, going different ways, and then the business went a bit down, and I was still fine because I had a job. Eventually, I moved to a bigger company, which also opened up my eyes in terms of the vision that I want to live for. I was doing digital marketing in that space also as a product owner. So I was looking at the health insurance space. After that, I realized 2020 came, and then I realized that the bug's just getting bigger and bigger on my back. So I just had to do something about it. And I quit. I went full time. Now, the challenge is that I already had clients, and obviously, at that point, I would say I was almost like a one-man show,
Oh,
doing websites, creating graphic design, logos, posters, profiles, social media accounts, those basics, at least to get companies on board. And obviously, there are some companies which were big enough that were giving me more requirements that were like unique. So, but that was like crazy because I was working around the clock, leaving 9 to 5 to go work 24 hours. It's the misconception. Sometimes I think you leave 9 to 5 because you're going to have more freedom. But I was working around the clock with the family. I was not really spending a lot of time with them. Now, my biggest problem was that business was not my strength. So I kept just delivering without necessarily receiving all my monies and stuff. I eventually went a bit deep into debt in terms of not being able to make money out of what I'm doing. And now, obviously, there are some that still owe me that I'm still chasing, and what it's just complicated. But nonetheless, the fact that I left my salary-paying job, which was able to afford the lifestyle that we were living, and to a business space which was not making enough money that I used to make, that created a whole complication in terms of our financial situation. So obviously started skipping payments on the home loan, and luckily I don't have a lot of debt. I only have my home loan as the main uh, debt, and obviously my children's school requirements in terms of other activities that they do. That's mostly the real debt that we have. So eventually went into that space where now we are way behind with accounts, and business is not going well, and yeah, and I just realized, yeah, no, I'm in the deep end. So about a few months I started getting into conversations with the banks that we need to probably either sell the house or move out, or they're gonna take it, how it works. So, but the challenge is, where do you move out to? Because I didn't really even have a plan B as per se. And then the last resort was obviously to either go back home. Home is quite different from where I am right now. It's like, I don't know if you know townships,
don't think so. No.
but a rural area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's in our country there's rural areas which is almost like very I wouldn't really say underdeveloped, but it is underdeveloped, and then bit clustered. And then obviously there's townships, which is like the middle area before you move on to the suburbs. You know,
Mm.
suburbs are more cleaner, bigger yards, bigger houses, nicer properties, and it's just well maintained. The townships are in the middle between rural and suburbs. I would put it that way.
Okay.
So obviously, that meant if I failed at whatever I'm doing, either I'll have to go back to the township, which is a step back. You know, it's a step back, especially because now I'm coming in back with the family. I left there alone. Now I come back with the family, which is also another burden. So that's the long and short of it. I don't know if you want to
Sounds
ask specifics.
Yeah, sounds a story, bro. That sounds hard, man.
But just out of interest, I mean, so one other option that we had in terms of our house was either we rent it out as well. The reason why we had to move out was we were thinking now let's rent it out because getting property it's not as easy in terms of finances and stuff. So letting go of this and coming back into this might be more challenging, especially because I can already see possibilities of us recovering in the near future, 6 months at least. So it will be more challenging for me to try and find another house in the next 6 months. So we decided let's rather move out and rent it out. And then we had people who were interested, and all of a sudden they just turned and said no, they're not interested anymore. So now we're still here. We haven't moved out yet. We were supposed to be out by the 28th because it was a signed and sealed deal, but for some reason things didn't work out. So initially I got a bit of a shock, like why? How could you do that? How could you turn back on your word and stuff? But then I realized that I'm also a bit accountable to that situation because those people thought they couldn't find me because of my devices, and they thought maybe I also had second thoughts about it, and
mm,
it wasn't because of it. So they changed their mind. But anyway, when that happened, I just realized, you know what? It's actually maybe a blessing in disguise. The fact that I still have time to still push and still here. Let me just continue. Because deep down, we didn't really want to go, Deep down, we
mm,
didn't want to really move out. Just wanted to stay here. But so it is, we're still here. We're still pushing, still trying to salvage this situation, having conversations with banks, and obviously making sure that we don't go out of synchronization with them in terms of where we are in the process, but we don't get any surprises as well.
yeah. Okay. So, you saying you and your brother and your cousin kind of like disagreed on the business, kind of, and then you split, and then it was just you running it. Is
Yeah,
that correct? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That does sound a bit full on. And then, wait, did you say you then left your job after that to go on
No,
the
no.
business?
So when we split, I was still working at that small company, but then I think in 2017, then I moved up to this medical insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Momentum, by the way. It's one of the biggest in SA. So I was in the health department. So I still was running it as a side project, but because of the demands of my role there, it was a very interesting space because I wasn't really fully qualified in terms of degrees and accolades,
Mm.
but obviously in terms of my bit of experience and my ability to learn, I was able to move into it, and it was a bit steep in terms of the learning curve of the new role. But eventually, I found my feet. But at the point when that happened, when I felt like now I knew what was happening, the business was also now getting more and more dying, basically. So I realized, I'm not going to let that suffer because of my full commitment to this big corporate, which will
Mm.
still exist with or without me. Whereas the business is something I want to build for the future. Even my kids could probably take over at some point. So I realized 2020 came, COVID. I probably got sick of COVID, but I didn't know it was COVID. So it helped me because I'm sure if I had known that, I would have panicked then. Something would have happened. So yeah, I decided, what, if this was a life moment where I probably almost died, I might as well make a move, because there's no guarantee anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And not like there's a specific time which all the stars will align for me to
Yeah.
go full time into entrepreneurship. There was a lot of misplanning behind that, but the mindset was sure. So even till today, I'm still sure about the decision in terms of not feeling the regret to want to go back and be in corporate space. I'm definitely standing for whatever I need to face to get through to where I need to get to.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting because the business was starting to go down a lot, and that's
Yeah,
when you decided to go full time.
Yeah.
Do you think that was maybe a mistake?
Not really. The reason why, because there was a lot of potential. It's just that it was going down because I wasn't paying attention. So it wasn't. It was going down because I wasn't really focusing on it. And I know it sounds very, yeah, record-minded or not well thought of, but I mean, I've been busy on the business since I left. It's not like I've had months where it was no clients calling, no. The point where I've kind of failed the most, I think it's in the monetization of my services. Services are high in demand because I mean I could be busy almost around the clock with people looking for services, and because of the work that we do, people keep coming back. I in fact I wasn't even marketing. People were just referring each other. It's word of mouth type of marketing. I wasn't even doing our website has been done for probably almost a year now, if not two. Yeah, I think almost 2 years, and we haven't really put it up intentionally and unintentionally. Intentionally because obviously we realize that if we open it up, we're just gonna invite even more people, which we're not even ready to to handle in terms of capacity. But unintentionally because we've been so busy because we can't even get to our own website. So it's great to the fact that I've been able to service a lot of clients, but my 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 down point there would be not making money out of that whole effort.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
Because I was wondering maybe you'd want to kind of have your job and like kind of work on the business on the side, and then as the business starts to like grow to like a good point, I don't know, I feel like you'd almost want the business to be going upwards and then you go full time into it than it like going down. But
Fair, fair. I think it's a fair comment. But you see, where I mean, we are currently, especially now, it makes sense if you think that way. But I mean, 2 years ago, it was even before COVID, by the way. So I mean, a lot of businesses were not online as much as they are now. So I mean, that was a space where we actually supposed to have capitalized, and I saw the opportunity there. Now, the other issue about me is that I kind of become very absorbed in whatever I'm doing. So especially the job that I was doing as a digital product owner, I was really having it tough. So I had to really put all my eggs in that one basket. There's a point in I think early in the year when I started the job, I kind of intentionally decided to not focus on the business and leave it, just so that I can at least perform better here. I had invested myself in the company to a point where I thought at least in the next 3 or 4 years, I should be up the ranks to a point where I grow my brand internally so that when I do leave, I'm going to at least take something with it. But it was taking too long. I think it was taking longer than anticipated. And I
yeah,
think I was seeing the opportunity diminishing this side because obviously no market changes and obviously opportunities do go. So I decided, you know what, but besides, this business is one leg of something that I want to do in the long term anyway. So I decided, let me shift gears and just jump into it. And it was a bit of a blind leap at some point, but it still was worth it.
okay, yeah. Like you said, I think it is important how the stars aren't all going to align, and that is something I think I thought about a lot. Like you're never going to be completely ready for pretty much anything, any big decision. Sometimes you just got to be like, we'll just do it, and if it doesn't
Yeah.
go too well, we can kind of correct on the way and try and get back on
Yes.
track.
Yeah. So in fact, just prior to me leaving, I think in 2015, which is like two years before, I had tried to actually run like independently by that time, but I feel like at that point in time, my family wasn't ready. So my wife wasn't ready. My mom wasn't. They were all like shocked. No, you can't do that. You can't quit your job. Security. And that kind of messed with me a lot. So I ended up like getting another job instead of quitting, instead of like going full time. Yeah, that was when I left the small company to this big corporate. So I think it's the mindset has always been there. It's just that I kept pushing it back, all these reasons coming into play. Obviously, the comfort zone, the benefits for working for a big corporate, and the exposure was nice. I mean, the network was great, the people were fun, and I think one other thing that also helped me to move was uh, the people that made me feel like I was there and I was like they were leading me, like my people that I used to look up to. Also made life decisions where one of them moved to I think Switzerland. When you are like thinking we're gonna grow together and someone say, "Hey man, tomorrow I'm picking up, I have a job offer in Switzerland," and you're like, oh, okay, this is the person that I was really almost like leaning on to in terms of advice and wisdom and learning a lot from. If they can just up and leave just like that, it shows you that there's no guarantee for that anyone else will put your interest at heart more than you do yourself. So I
Yeah.
just decided, nah. But besides that, I think the biggest pull besides the push was, in South Africa right now, there's a lot of challenges, and I almost felt the need to really start stepping up and finding a way to contribute instead of always be the one to share the memes or the jokes about it, because it gets to a point where you realize that we are creating this environment all together, and at least my 2 cents, it's gonna add some value somewhere and obviously change this place for the better. Now that I've got kids, I also think now for them, I wouldn't like them to grow up in a space where I was there and I never did anything about it, because most of these issues are, like generational issues that could have been dealt with by the previous generation, at least made a little bit better so that the next one cannot start from zero. So that's where all these things come into play, man. Where it's like, you know what, let me go out there, do something about this, and hopefully in time, definitely in time, the results will show, and obviously the value will be added into people in the larger scale. You know,
What
hopefully
kind
that will really be the main reason.
what kind of like problems are we talking about? Like inequality and stuff, or
Yeah, like I'm gonna put it as basic as possible. Like for instance, if you look at currently, we're looking at crime is one of the issues. But if you look at crime, it's not just crime, it's crime which is done by young, I'm generalizing, please don't quote me on this. It's young black males. Now, if you take that young black male and analyze where they come from, most of them come from the same township, same rural areas, where if you look at that environment, you notice that those places are very limited in terms of options for them to keep them occupied and
yeah,
busy. For instance, in my area where I grew up, the only thing that we had, probably lucky us, we had like was a basketball court. But if you go onto every other space in that township, every street has got a shebeen or tavern where people can drink, and that's like the main form of entertainment. You know, I'm just giving an example. So now, if you can correlate the amount of criminals coming from a space which has less options, you can see a direct connection there. You can connect the dots. Those type of things, and then you can also look at the same thing with our library. We probably have like one library in a vicinity of a radius of about what 10, 15 kilometers, and with that library, the way it's run, you'll find that. Uh, it opens late, it closes too early. So for someone to really walk a long distance or travel so far to come and then spend 3 or 4 hours and then they have to be kicked out, it's terrible. But if you go to each and every second street, you'll find alcohol as the main form of entertainment, and obviously that messes up with a lot of things.
yeah,
Now, with me working at Momentum, one of the things that I was always bothered about was the fact that we currently have a high unemployment rate, right? And most of the people will tell you that they can't find jobs. But in Momentum, where I was working as the product owner, we kept importing a lot of resources from India. No offense against that. I'm just saying like these are people that not necessarily bringing in like a huge qualification. It's just that they've got a skill that they've learned because they have access to the internet, which they spend time reading by themselves, self-study, and now suddenly they are employable anywhere in the world. Whereas our own are just waiting for someone, something to come and whisk them out of this poverty. Yeah. So those type of things. So one of my other ideas now that you're asking is to create a space for this type of education. This new careers type of digital economy education,
yeah. Okay.
and that also builds capacity into my current company, as well as obviously builds capacity into any company that might want to use those resources. So those were the two things that I really wanted to drive aggressively.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense because, like you're saying, with the crime and with like the South Africans not necessarily getting the jobs, sounds like yeah, if you bring in more investment, like more education, like that should probably fix those problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
It's a straight line, man. It's a straight line. If you give people options, suddenly out of 100%, the few that would have felt bored and sit at home because they don't like soccer, they don't like netball, they don't like drinking, now have something else to do. But if you don't have those other options, suddenly you have to eventually, the power of society, eventually it will push you back to those same areas where you were trying to avoid. It takes a lot of willpower to get out of some of the spaces I'm talking about. I'm definitely from them as well. So I've grown up within those spaces. Right now we have issues with drugs. I mean, drugs are like killing our country and obviously messing up with the young generation, which should be the one that we should be investing more in. And our politicians are busy looting as much as they can just to fill their pockets, where else people are suffering. So for me, I felt the need to, at least with my company, which is a web development company, digital marketing space, I could see an opportunity for me to build capacity in terms of my own company. But at the same time, I can see an opportunity for me to give these guys opportunity, like to live in the digital economy, which is now the new way of living. Like for instance, I keep telling everyone that I meet, hey, you should start a YouTube channel. What content? I'm saying just document your life. At least you know the challenges we face in South Africa. People don't understand that how you wake up in the morning and sit in the corner for 24 hours and then come back home because you don't have internet, you don't have this, you don't. I'm just saying, try something. To share the struggles of you trying to find a job, and let's see how that will fly. I keep telling everyone, just look at Instagram. You can make money off that instead of just going around scrolling at people's pictures. Find a way that you can monetize that while you are still unemployed. So those are the skills that I really want to put deep into our society. And obviously, more than that, I mean, being in the digital space, there's a lot of other skills that people don't talk about besides software development. There's like your user experience designers, UI, UX. There's your testers, software testers. There's just a few that you don't really have to go and sit down in the university seat to really get the skill. Just
Yeah.
need to be open-minded, go on the net, and then obviously some of them they need us to hold their hands for the first couple of steps in their journey just to show them this bigger world, just to get them out of the box thinking. And then once they are out of it, then you can just let them walk them by themselves.
That's super respectable what you're doing. I think that's great, man. Like encouraging people to like get up and try and like monetize and stuff. Yeah.
Make a living, yeah.
Okay, so where do you see your like YouTube channel going? So I know you made like one video so far, then it's been like about a month or so, has it?
Months now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I always repeat myself in all the sessions that the videos are there. It's just a matter of putting them out there because I still feel the need to put it in the right way. But it's not even the right way as such. It's just that I put my standards to say that I need to at least learn a little bit of video editing because at the moment I can't afford to pay for someone to do it for me. So at least I have to also understand that side of the business.
Yeah.
And then I'm currently going through that. I think I had some good referral videos. I've checked a couple of them and I thought maybe there was a quicker way of doing what I wanted to do, but obviously the process keeps putting me back to say go and learn the basics, then you can be moving faster because I kept trying to jump that hurdle of really learning deep, not deep, but I mean basics of the editing space. So at the moment, I think I just need to get the churn rate going. The videos are there. I just want to get them out in a sequential way as well. Because I also thought of just releasing for the sake of releasing, but then obviously it kind of distorts the story because now I'll be talking about this, then I'll be talking about that, and then people won't even have context what I'm all about. So the general message behind the channel is obviously how you can make it as a young man in South Africa. Well, I'm not so young anymore, but in South Africa, and obviously probably everywhere in Africa, because I feel like this theme that's happening here in South Africa really resonates across the continent. I'm sure other continents as well, but the real focus for me is this people that we have in this continent because I feel like we sit on a lot of potential, a lot of potential in this digital economy that we are not looking at. So if I can actually just package this or keep being consistent, I'm sure I'm not even, sometimes I actually ask myself, do I really want to monetize this channel? I'm not even really, 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 really crazy about it at the moment. I just more worried about making sure that at least I show what I need to show in terms of how you handle the lows, how you bounce back from those moments where you really don't even have a clue of how you're going to make it. And then at least with that in mind, if I can just maybe impact one or two people, like we all are trying to do with our channels, that to me would be
If you
the
help
blessing.
if you help one person, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So one other thing that really touched me, I mean, I used to look up to a lot of people that are successful in my view. Uh, and I think one of them who was also someone that was becoming my mentor ended up committing suicide, because of being in situations similar to mine, where he was probably in sticky situations financially and stuff. And those are the type of things that made me to want to maybe share this. You don't have to, I know it's tough, I know it's terrible, I know it's hectic, and people have gone through this and they have made it. And there are
Mm.
some people that go through it and think this is the end of the world, and they just rather die than go back to the basics, than downgrade or go back to. It's not like that, life can still happen regardless of how whatever you face. I mean,
Or a quote's coming to mind, like, even if you like get knocked back, like you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, because
experience, yes.
you've got you might be in the same place, but you have the knowledge. You got out once, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So you can probably get out again. Like Alex Hormozy was talking about how Elon Musk can go from like, if he went to zero, he'd probably have like $1 billion company like in the next few years.
yeah,
He's got the experience, he knows how. So yeah, it's really not fun. I don't think anyone likes being knocked back, but
yeah,
apart from maybe David Goggins. But
yeah.
you can use that because you can use that as like fuel, and you also have more experience. So yeah.
I think I also got one quote from, I don't know if it's a quote or statement, but from Naval,
Hmm.
where he mentioned something about, if you climb up a mountain and you get stuck, you realize somewhere that you can't go past. You sometimes have to go back down just
Mm.
to climb up again, but
Go off a
it's not
different
like this.
mountain.
But now you know better, So I feel like I'm in that same position where I had to go back all the way down. Now I'm actually climbing up again.
Alright, it's good to be on this journey with you. Like, keep coming to the meetings and stuff, and we can
Indeed,
all grow together.
indeed, indeed.
Okay.
I'm actually more excited to see us in the next 12 months, not even 5 years, 12 months.
Yeah.
Like the rate at which we are all going. I know I'm not really there yet, but I can see myself joining in the momentum that you guys have started, and the rate at which everyone's going. It's almost like inevitable. They always say that results are effort and time. With effort and time, results are bound to show. So I'm just really excited to see you guys, or see us all
Yeah.
pop up somewhere.
Yeah. Me too. I think effort and time. Yeah, but also I think like a key thing. I've studied and like learned from a lot of like I guess successful wealthy people. So many of them talk about like leverage. Like,
Mm.
you can work really hard, but if you're not working hard on like the right kind of thing, you might not get very far. So you want to be focusing on like what can have the biggest effect for my input. So I'd say like YouTube and stuff like that is good because you can reach like millions of people
Yeah,
for free basically. You
yeah.
just need to make the video.
Mm.
Um, And then you were talking about you're not sure whether to monetize the channel. Well, I think if you just focus on building it, just focus on helping people, and then it will probably grow. And then, like, if you ever want to monetize it, then you probably can. But
Sure.
I think if you just focus, I'm not saying you are, but I think when other people like focus just on monetizing like from the start, I don't feel it does as well. Because I feel like the reason the channels do well is because they're trying to help people. Because then
Yeah,
people
the
want to watch it.
genuine content is really what pulls us through. No, that's true. I'm also very skeptical of that because, once I start looking a lot at the numbers, then it might really take over. I know it's quite interesting. I mean, it's a numbers game and it's fun to also see the growth. But I feel like if I really get so obsessed with that, I might even lose the real reason behind this because now I'll be chasing. Even though there's a bit of a conundrum there because if you think about it, you need to make impact in people's lives. So obviously, the more people you impact, it means the more numbers that you need to get. So it's a bit tricky there because you obviously want to make sure that the message gets through.
Yeah, I think you just need to remember kind of like why you started and like where you've kind of come from, especially like for you because you've been through like a lot of like struggles, definitely more than me. Yeah.
And some of them unnecessary, but yeah, it's part of the journey.
So have you? So you say you've already got a lot of videos ready to go. They've got like recorded and.
Not a lot, isn't like a lot, but there's a few at least for the next three, I would say, episodes of this whole journey. Yes. And I think I did mention as well that at some point the challenge I also had was focus in terms of just my unique journey or the other aspect of my channel, not my channel, but another channel that I want to start, which is now challenging some of these socio-economic issues without revealing who's the man behind. Just more about getting people to think, just really poking on some of these things that people are not really addressing in a very focused and direct way. And I'm not just gonna leave people hanging with questions. I actually put in my own solutions in terms of what I feel is necessary to be done or how we can actually close the gap. And obviously, I'm sure people would also resonate with that because if you can think, you definitely can see that there's a gap, there's an option, there's something we can do about it. It's just a matter of it's not really making that mainstream focus. People are easy to turn a blind eye on something that's uncomfortable to face.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely.
but they don't realize sometimes you have to face that and deal with it, and then it's over. Then you can move on to living.
Otherwise, it can often just become worse and then pops up in the
Yes,
future.
that's what's been happening here in South Africa. I mean, most of the things that we are facing now are things, in my view, they are very simple to solve. Very simple to solve. But because everyone has kind of left it for someone else to sort it out, it just has bubbled up into something that's becoming uncontrollable now. And now everything is almost like a crisis mode. So, which is sad.
So yeah, so you have done another channel with more like the issues and the solutions. Would that be specific to South Africa?
No, no, definitely not. But definitely Africa. I'm still very strongly obsessed with Africa because I, I I don't know if you look at Africa. I mean, we are probably one of the so-called richest in minerals and a lot of things, but poorest in wealth and obviously the most poor in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Might be wrong. My statistics are not studied, but I feel like we are. And if you just observe a lot of countries in Africa, it's not like we don't have things. It's just that people are not thinking and they're not acting right. It's as simple as that. I mean, from our leaders to just the average Joe on the street, we have this mindset of someone is coming to save us from all this misery. And where else we've got all the necessary equipment, resources to do something about it. If I can give you a simple example, in my space right now where I stay, it's a very clean area. The streets are nice to walk, it's very clean. But if you go into most of our townships, most of the streets are filthy. And I mean, if you understand the mindset behind it, there was at some point this belief that it's the government's problem to clean the streets. They're creating jobs for the next person. But the government doesn't live in the street, doesn't walk the street. They actually, we the people are the one walking past that junk every day. The smell is harming us, not the government. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at just creating spaces like the space where I stay now, the area where I stay now, I can guarantee you it's not the government that made this place clean. It's the people that stay here that, first of all, don't throw trash on the street. Second of all, they obviously pull in as a community to try and at least make sure that they keep a certain standard of their environment. Whereas in those places where I'm saying we need to really focus on, which goes right through Africa. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any recent videos of Nigeria and all these African countries. It's sad, I mean, the way which we live, it's like we've become numb to all the negative that we are doing against ourselves, and we just make it as if it's a norm. I find it very hard to not see these things, and it bugs me day in and day out. If I drive around outside of my space, then suddenly I see these things. I just become very I sometimes feel like I'm better off sitting in the house because at least I don't get to see them every day. But then I don't want to avoid them. I want to confront them and deal with them. That's why I try and plug into as many of these initiatives that are around that have something to do with making sure that we solve these issues for the next generation, not even for now, for the future.
Yeah, that's good. It's making me think of do you know Jocko Willink?
No, no, I don't know him.
No, he's like
I'll check him out.
Kind of like David Goggins. He's a ex Navy SEAL, I think, and
Oh,
he
okay.
always talks about like extreme ownership and like taking like the responsibility for pretty much everything that happens, which
Events, yeah.
sounds like they might need a bit of that in Africa. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we need a
because
lot of that. We need
especially
a
if
lot
the
of that.
government is not necessarily helping you out, you've got to, yeah, like you said, it's you're the people who are having to deal with like the problems. So
Yeah.
maybe it's not fair that you have to sort it out, but if you don't sort it out, then someone like no one, you know.
You know, the funny part is like I think in my career, in my skill set, I have opportunities to probably skip the country and just go anyway. Because at least in the digital space you can actually use that skill anyway. It's quite transferable. It's unlike other skills which are only specific here. So I can go work anywhere, and I know I can. But it hits hard when you're thinking, I'll probably be running away from issues more than just being pulled in. I think at some point I will find myself in that space. I will probably do what I can, and when I feel like I've done enough, I'll take my kids and my family to say, "Hey, we're moving to what is Cotton Sam's place, Ukraine. Where is that?
Kuwait.
QA. Yeah. What I'm just saying is like at the moment it feels wrong for me personally. I don't think anyone told me anything, but it feels wrong for me just to walk away, where else I have all these ideas which I feel like they can at least add something. So my intention with most of the things that I'm doing, I want to at least, even if it's just to spark a fire, especially with the new generation, because at least they become more vocal, they are more ahead in terms of clubbing up and forming parties, and the what do they call them, the cancel culture, I don't know what they call them, the
Woke.
hashtag culture, the war culture. Yes, yes, yes.
Woke people. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if we can maybe spark the fire with them, because I feel like the older generation, they've lost it because they are part of the reason why we're here. The current generation is it's almost feeling the life pressure so much that they don't even have time for this. I mean, guys in my age group are more worried about their own families than what's happening down the streets more than anything. I'm sure they are, but they just have to focus more on their own livelihoods,
Of course. Yeah.
which we all have to. So I'm just saying, at least if I can just spark the fire with this up and coming guys and at least help them to see the way forward. At least even if that happens, I would be happily. I can happily leave the country if I have to, if nothing changes. But more than that, I mean, South Africa is a beautiful country, man. It's got so much potential as well. It's really nice weather. It's really nice spaces, different diversities of people. It's just that it's poorly managed. That's all it is. It's poorly managed, and it's not something that cannot be controlled or fixed. It just needs people who are willing to do it. Right now, everyone is just not really seeing this as a pending issue. Some are, obviously, don't get me wrong. There are people that are trying something, but we're not giving it enough attention.
No.
And I feel like that's what we need to do. And some saying, even for me, if I can use YouTube to push that agenda across, yes, I'll definitely do that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Especially if you can have, if you can, like you said, the young guys coming through. If you can have more like accountable, like hardworking, like
Yes.
caring young guys, like that's gonna be really good for your country.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But like there is, like you said, you probably move out sometime. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I respect what you're doing, but like, yeah,
It
yeah. Okay.
feels.
I was gonna say like you might not be able to like change the whole country, but obviously you can add to it. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. And like I'm saying, I've given myself a very short time span to do this thing. That's why I thought when I turned 35, that's when I actually left the corporate space. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go hard crazy in the next few years. It's just that unfortunately the first 2 years were a bit of distractions with not running business efficiently enough for me to focus on some of these big topics that I want to. But I still feel like at least the next year or two, I'm still in it. Like the energy is still high. I'm still young enough for me to take some punches from whatever life throws at me. And at least I'm able to still withstand whatever pressures I need to get through to at least do something about it. Definitely feel like, I mean, now the world is opened up for us, for everyone actually, more so the Africans. South Africans in this regard. And that's why I don't want to also restrict me or my children to also feel the need to be too grounded, or what is it, too stuck in this. They need to live in the whole global economy. That's what I want to do. So
Mm.
hence, if I don't do that, obviously, if I don't push them out, they might have to do it in their own time. But which at that point, I feel like it would be also a missed opportunity, because I also want to explore. I mean, the world is
Yeah.
big. I don't wanna, I always had this issue of being born in a certain space, get married in a certain space, die in a certain space, and everything is just like one little box. Your life is in one little square. I don't want that.
No,
So
I mean neither. I don't like that. I see that with people like their grandparents live here, their parents live here,
exactly.
they live here. It's like, have you ever
Yeah.
like truly gone out there? Like, because there's this guy I was following and he was saying how there's like over like 200 countries in the world. Um, the chance of you like being born in the best one for like kind of what you want to do is like pretty low.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
So
people,
yeah, no, we need to live. We need to live globally.
yeah, I mean it's a lot easier, like you said. So, and it also could like improve your quality of life a lot depending on where you go. I know
Mm.
places like a lot of guys go to Thailand who are like making money online because I think it's quite like cheap there. Um,
Andrew lives there, you said, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think he's there right now, but he does live there. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so that's interesting.
That's also on my bucket list, actually.
Go to Thailand, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And anywhere
definitely.
else you're looking at?
Yeah, no, obviously
Or
the
Kuwait?
nicest places, Kuwait is one of them. Recent additions from thanks Cotton Cell. But the one is obviously I want to explore Dubai. I want to explore
Dubai, yeah, same.
a lot of the Mediterranean places. I think really want to check them out. I'm not so much obsessed with Europe. I know it's a nice place, it's a nice environment and everything. I feel like there's more other little gems in this world that we also don't know of, besides your France and your
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree.
Spain.
I think
Yeah, so
it's interesting with the developed countries. Like, I feel like they're almost there's not as much innovation as there used to be and stuff. Like, the growth has like slowed a lot, and they're also a lot more like I'd say they're getting more and more like kind of restrictions. I'd say maybe like they're
very
always they seem to be
protected.
like more taxes, more like rules and stuff. Whereas with these like there's some more countries like Thailand or like Dubai, which well Dubai's not a country, but
Singapore,
they're kind of coming up.
Singapore.
They're coming up more. Um, so there's more like opportunities there. I feel.
Yeah,
I wonder if like the developed like the West is almost a bit like it's had its time. I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting, but yeah.
yeah. I don't see them falling out of the
Mm,
ranking anytime soon, because obviously they're well established and they're well
yeah.
invested into the future. It's just a matter of, I think there's more upside for those underdeveloped, like you're saying, countries, or those are probably developing countries.
Mm,
And I think that's where the buzz is. Like, I think it is Singapore, yeah,
mm-hmm.
Singapore or somewhere, which is currently one of the safest places, and
Yep.
obviously tech is booming as well, and so many nice things that you hear about it. Obviously, there's one thing that you must always know: there's no perfect country in any
Mm.
way in the world. There's always going to be the, a bit of both sides of things. It's just a matter of how much of it. It has to be relative, of course.
And like what you
How
kind
much
of want, because
and what you want. Yes.
some people might not be worried about like I don't know sunny weather or like taxes or something like. But then other people are like, yeah, I want this and this. So
That's exactly.
yeah, okay.
So,
So you talked about you have like quite short time you're giving yourself. Is that right? So what? How long are we talking?
when I started, I was very ambitious. I thought at least by the time I get to 40, I should have at least made enough for me to decide to start running around the world and living wherever. So I feel like I've lost 2 years already,
What are you
and
at? 36?
37, 37,
37.
37.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I've lost 2 years. So obviously now I don't want to keep adding. I still am a bit ambitious to say the next three, like, let's say two now, because it's almost 2023. The next 2 years should be sufficient for me to get there. I'm really going with all my abilities and skills and ambitions on this bet of, but I also believe the fact that if I give myself 5 years, I'm going to take 5 years to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to keep adding to it. So at least let's say 40, then let's see how things will be by
No,
then.
it's definitely doable because Andrew Kirby was, I think, 18 to 21 or 22 by the time
Mhm.
he did it. I mean, there might be some luck involved, obviously, but Iman Gadzhi was also saying how he's not seen anyone who really put their head down for 36 months. He's never seen them like not be able to. I think it was $10,000 a month. It obviously depends what you're doing, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of guys who have like really like mostly young guys who have like said like I'm not going to go partying, I'm not going to do all this stuff, I'm just going to work, and in with less than 5 years they've really like made it happen. So it's definitely doable,
Sure. Sure.
and I think it's good
Definitely.
you give that time that, like you said, if you give it 5 years, you're going to obviously take longer. Whereas if it's like we need to get this done, you're going to be like going harder, and you might not necessarily get it at 40, but you're going to get it quicker if you say I'll get it by 40 than if you say I'll get it by 45.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think you will
Exactly.
do it by 40 because
And I think with where I am right now, I also wanted to almost like, you guys have more leverage because you're still young. You have the, and obviously with someone who like me who already has a family and who already is a bit aged in terms of ahead, in terms of the number of years, it almost becomes like something that most people wouldn't even want to really start on this, because it's like now you've got responsibilities and all that. So for me, I almost feel like it's another little myth in my mind that I need to disprove that you can do it even with all the responsibilities. It's not the ideal case. Don't get me wrong. It's
yeah,
not the best case. The younger you are, the more single you are, the more crazy you can go all in and really be obsessed about something. But when you have more added responsibilities in life, you have to obviously keep the balance there. So
yeah,
I just want to make sure that at least I put it out with that. So I just had have that little chip on my shoulder to say I can do it with the family.
yeah. I made a clip about that the other day from, I think it was a podcast with Corey. How that is one thing I find like I think there's quite a lot of people who they kind of have a goal, and if they don't reach it by like 25 or 30, they almost kind of like
Oh yeah,
accept or whatever. Oh, I'll just stay in this job and hopefully
yeah, I
retire
remember
by
that.
like 70. And it's like I do not like that, but I think it's really good that you still got that fire, you're still going for it, and that's like a really important part because if you're not trying, if you don't believe, like there's no chance.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay. Um. What was I gonna? Oh yeah. What does like your family think of this? Do you really?
I think right now, it, family immediate meaning my wife, definitely she's fully on board in terms of what I'm doing. Earlier on, it was probably a bit more challenging for her to really see this, but now, the one thing I believe in, Owen, is the fact that what I do affects the environment as much as the environment affects me. So, so I think there is a quote like that that says, "What you do for the environment," something like that, where what you do for someone comes back to you
Yeah.
somehow, or something like that. But all I'm saying is now, she obviously wants to live a life which is in a certain standard. But now you can never be uh, comfortable in a space where there's all these things happening around you. Like I also have that African mindset of, like if you want to go far, you go together, and if you want to go fast, you go alone. Those type of things. I feel like they need to be in a community where everyone is also getting their stuff in order and they're pushing towards their goals. Then at least there's less burden on me as well as a person. I know it's a bit of a selfish thing sometimes to think of it that way
That's
because
fine. You got to be selfish
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, because imagine if everyone around you is all begging and you're the only one that's then, and I guess there's something we call black tax in South Africa, which is something very very specific to here, where if you come from your normal community, you make it in life, you become like the one that probably buys a car or buys a house and seems to be more progressive. Every time you go back home into the townships or the rural areas, you're almost expected to fit the bill or because you look like the one that's made it. So you have to go back and pay your dues in a way, which is the right thing at the same time of obviously making sure that home is also sorted. But it becomes abused in our economy, whereby now you have to, like, if you are making it, it's your prerogative to make sure that now you must give us money to sustain our lifestyle, sort of, which is very twisted. I don't really agree with that
Yeah.
fully. So as I'm saying, that black text thing really affects everything. So what I'm saying is my wife supports it, because now obviously I think even in her space, she's also entrepreneurial. She wants to try stuff, and obviously when we when we uh, when we quit, we both quit our corporate gigs almost around the same time. She quit first actually, and then I followed through. But now she's back at work because of the pressures that we have to sustain. But it's a short term thing. It's not a long term thing. She also wants to run a couple of her own ventures that she wants to fully pursue, which will require her to be full time. So at least if I break through in my ventures, it will enable her to also come on board, and obviously we can both thrive. So hence I'm saying we are definitely full on board in terms of all these crazy ideas that we are doing.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's cool. Sounds like, yeah, it's good, especially when you've got someone who's like on board. Like you can be like a great team together.
Yeah, no, the partnership, guys, it's very important. I can't emphasize that enough. When you really, especially us as entrepreneurs, you cannot compromise on that. I know it's very strange because you'll never know earlier on that how far the person is willing to go with you until they're actually in the journey with you to show you really are they really there. But because I think to a large extent earlier on in our courtship or whatever you call it, our relationship, I feel like we were not moving at the same pace, and that kind of also delayed a lot of things until she plugged into this energy, and then now suddenly things started to happen. Like us quitting our job. Like I said, I didn't quit my job earlier in the years because she was scared. She was not uncomfortable thinking that going into business we're gonna suffer and all that. And I think at that point in time probably would have been also another interesting what do you call this, opportunity, because at that point in time it was like 2015. The web space was still very infant, I mean, in our country. So I think I would have probably dominated had I had all the necessary alignment support with it between me and her. But eventually, she kind of saw the bigger picture. It took her probably a year and a half for you to really fully understand it. And now she's the one that was now pushing me to say, "Hey, you need to get up and go. This is our way out of this situation, and obviously our dreams are all aligned around this." So which is at least a better way to look at it.
Sounds great. Yeah, Layla and Alex Hormozy. Do you know them?
Yeah, yeah, no, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Still a long way to learn. Those guys are pushing, man.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Is there? You said this was you kind of. I don't know if this was before we started recording, but you also kind of treat this like a capsule for yourself, which I think is good. I think I feel like I haven't really said it, but I feel like a lot of people who have already come on this podcast is kind of partly for that, like for us to see where we are now
Yes.
and where we were, and then you can look back on it. So, is there anything you kind of wanna, I guess, say to your future self,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
anything you wanna like record, like how you're feeling or anything?
Phew, I didn't think that far, but I think you know what? I definitely know it's not something that from what I've learned and what I've seen. I definitely know that making it is a guarantee. I'm definitely going to be out of it. I'm going to be in a better space very soon in terms of finances and stuff. And I'm talking financial freedom,
Mm.
if that's the right word most
Yeah.
people can understand, where you can afford to do anything that you want at when you want. But for me, I also am chasing that whole location freedom thing where you can work from
Yeah.
anywhere in the world. That's where I'm going, and obviously anytime as well. So I know I'm going to make it. I think it's just now I feel like I just need to zone in a bit more. I'm already focused on two or three things that are really occupying my mind each and every day. But I feel like I need to zone in a bit more because there's just so much possibilities. That's what the crazy part is.
Mm.
Like like some opportunities come to me in a time where I feel like, just man, I'm already swamped, and I really feel like I could want to jump onto that, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'll be stretching myself too thin. So I kind of am starting to say no to a lot of other opportunities. Uh, quick one, just to give you an example. Someone came up to me, because of our main party not doing very well. Someone came up to me because they know my ideas and my thinking and my drive and all that and what I'm up to. They actually wanted to recruit me for to this new party that's just been formed, and I'm not really politically like excited because I
Nkateko
feel
for
like
president.
yeah, no, I don't want that. No, I'm not really in that space. I think my mind is not really ready for politics because I feel like politics is just a lot of talk, no action.
I don't know if
I'm
it's
I'm happy to be more in the action side of things and
mhm.
doing things without any permission and ask for forgiveness later. I rather do that. So hence I'm saying if I was not probably pursuing what I'm pursuing, I probably would have taken up that opportunity just to kind of maybe lead the youth action movements around there, do something around education, do something around tech using those bandwagons, because that's where my passion is. It's in tech, it's in the youth, it's in social economic stuff, the stuff that we can do around education, sports. I play sports, so I know the importance of sports in
Mm,
society and in an individual. So I'm crazy about that. So in fact, there's an organization that we are currently establishing in the rural area called Gaza Sports Club.
mm.
With that, obviously, the whole intention is just to make sure we give people access to options, and obviously, we gonna create them because no one's doing it for those communities. We are creating it, and we are using the Uber model. I don't know if you
Okay.
see Uber, they don't own any cars,
Mm.
they don't own any drivers, but obviously the drivers come in, the customers come in, that's it. So we are doing the same thing. We got people that are interested in playing sport. We recruit coaches and those people meet, and then we have teams that are established everywhere. So that's what we are trying to do in some of the spaces around here,
That's
those
cool.
type of things. Yeah.
So, what kind of sports do you like? Rugby? I was going to ask you about this. So, no South Africans big on
I,
rugby.
Yeah, no, big soccer is the main one. Rugby probably comes second, and I think cricket and the other ones. But for me, it's not even any of those. It's basketball.
Ah,
I'm
yeah.
more into basketball. I do understand soccer, but I'm not really a crazy like diehard type of a fan because I don't watch every match. In fact, I don't really sit to watch a full match. I just check out the highlights to see if my team is still doing well. And rugby as well, same story.
Yeah, okay. All right. What was I going to say? I'm not sure.
And do you play sports?
Yeah, so I've played rugby for like over 10 years.
Okay.
I recently stopped and I'm starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's
Oh,
like
nice.
kind of like wrestling, basically.
No, I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then I go to the gym like quite a lot, so that's the main thing. But yeah, I've always liked sports. I've played tennis when I was younger. I've done football as well, like soccer. Yeah, I'd say I'm very sporty. And I think it is good, like you said, to help people out because it's something they can kind of put their passion into, especially if they don't like they have a lot of free time and also like it's a challenge. Um, yeah, and
Yeah.
it gives them like an activity instead of like
So, so I think two things you just mentioned. The free time. I know someone always says that if you are money rich, you are time rich. Money poor, you are time rich. You never have all the time and all the money. That doesn't really work. That balance doesn't work. It's almost like the more money you have, the less time you have, and the more time you have, the less money. So most people who are currently not having a lot of money, they have so much time in their hand, but they just don't know how to really maximize on it or capitalize on it. And then the other part that I think I wanted to mention was, when it comes to sports, for me, I think sports competition, basically, which obviously sports is the number one driver of, is a necessity in humanity to survive. Because I feel like for us to even find the next best thing, we have to have each other, people pushing each other up the ranks,
yeah.
or else we will obviously remain in the same place every time. So I feel like even with the current challenges that we are having as a globe, the more we kind of come out and push each other through competition, healthy competition, that is, of course, we will obviously all thrive. Eventually, we are all benefiting from that whole outcome of us winning, someone winning, or something. Life is evolving. But if we don't have this, like most of these communities that are becoming they end up becoming parasites to themselves, because they are so uh, unoccupied. Their mind, you wake up in the morning, you sit the whole day. you know in fact, I should actually do one live stream of just walking the streets of this township, so you can see how it is here,
Yeah.
just to kind of show. You'll see right now it's probably what, 11 a.m. People are just sitting in the corners. Funny enough, this is the part where I also find it interesting with the mind. Most people that are also said to be very poor, they still have enough accessibility to find booze, like drink and
Hmm.
smoke, and which becomes a bit tricky, because how do you afford to do that, but you can't have data or something like that to just better your life? But it's all because it's a mind battle. We know how it is.
Hmm. Oh
So I
yeah.
think sports is very important for me, because I feel like it's the one catalyst to bring about change, which is sustainable. Because once someone has got the sport part, you will never go out of it. Even if you are just a fan, but you're always involved somehow. So at least it helps you to keep that mindset
That,
focused.
yeah, that ignites like the competition, and you're like, you can apply that
Self
to other
development.
areas. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Self development. If you look
Mm,
at it
yeah.
in that way, you want to be better version of yourself, so you can better perform. So it obviously runs across in everything that we do anyway. You know.
Yeah. Raphael was talking to me about this the other day, how he thinks there's kind of like four pillars, like four ways people kind of start the self improvement. So one's like fitness, one's like financial,
Mhm.
um, one's like dating, and
Yeah.
what's the last one? Not sure, but basically, there's one more I think, but it's basically, yeah, like people get in on what, or I think the fourth one was just being like more productive, and that's what I found with me is
Efficient.
like
Yeah.
you get into kind of one part of self improvement, and then that kind of gets you onto more. Um, do you need to go? Do you need to take this?
No, no, no. I'm actually just sending them a message to say I'll call them later
Ah, okay.
to see who was that number. Don't worry.
Yeah. So yeah, like you get into one part. So say you want to improve your fitness, then you kind of start to think about how you can apply it to other areas, and that leaks across into like business and being more productive. And yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying that people, it's all their fault, but I feel like some people, they find it easier to just go to the drugs, go to the alcohol, and just kind of, I guess, blame people.
Yeah.
And they find it easier just to take that short term kind of thing that numbs them, or like makes them kind of forget about their situation. But that in the long
Escape.
term, that's not going to help you really like get out.
No, definitely, definitely. I think you said it very well. There, everyone is, there's actually a song here by one of our local artists called Msaki, and I think one of the lyrics that she uses there is that, I think we live for the weekend, uh, working out the courage to pray away the I'm butchering the poor song. Let me Google it. I don't want to be sued for using the wrong lyrics or something like
Is it
that.
in
Yeah, but
Afrikaans?
no, no, no. It's English. English. It's a house tune, but obviously the lyrics are quite deep.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
called "Fetch Your Life." The name of the song is called "Fetch Your Life." I'm gonna check it. I'll tell you now. But it says exactly that, because most people are in an escape mode. They don't want to face the hardship of going through. Basically, there's pain of not facing it, there's pain of facing it.
Yeah.
So people choose the other pain because it's a bit more enjoyable in the short term. You get to
Yeah.
feel the effect right now, but in the long term it still catches up with you.
So I saw that's another thing that's come to mind is like being poor is hard, being rich is also hard. Like choose which hard you want.
Exactly,
Like
exactly. So here's the lyrics. She says, "We live for the weekend, walking up the courage to pray, and we pray away the pain of not being in alignment with our dreams." Everyone is,
mm,
is rather go to church and pray about it instead of just waking up and do something about it. So it's
if
like it's
yeah,
same thing. Whether it's drinking to run away from the pain of not being where you're supposed to be,
it's just
or
loop.
doing drugs,
Yeah.
it's a loop. Exactly,
Um,
you are trapped.
that's why they need education and like more funding opportunities and stuff. Another thing is like another quote full of quotes. I don't really know how, but uh, if you're like not willing to work on the weekends, then to escape your 9 to 5, you don't want it bad enough or something.
Yeah,
Because a lot of
100%.
people just like, oh, it's the weekend, and they just literally do nothing.
Let loose. Yeah, yeah, no,
And it's like,
100%. I think there's a post on the school that someone put yesterday. I also commented on it, where he was also talking something similar to that. And I think, well, in my response, I also said, when you're really in a grind, time becomes like a blur in a way because your days become normal days. There's no weekend or weekdays.
yeah,
Night and day, night and day becomes the same. You just keep doing what you have to do, regardless of what time, whether it's AM or PM. You just keep pushing. The only time you really get to stop is when you really have to kind of refresh or get a rest. But generally speaking, it matters not whether it's weekend or it's a weekday. You just have to do what needs to be done, and
yeah.
that's probably when you're really pushing for serious
I
ambition.
definitely relate to that. I feel I don't really have a day off, really. But I
Exactly.
like what I'm doing. I'm either at school, I do schoolwork, go to the gym, or I'm working on a podcast or YouTube channel. But I like doing it. It's fine. I feel like if I did other things, I would feel like I was kind of wasting time almost. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm very
just sitting around.
grateful. I'm grateful to have like been able to cultivate this mindset, but
It's
I
a
just
powerful mindset.
I just can't relate to it. Like, I don't. People just stay on the weekend and just like sit and like play video games, watch TV. Like, I used to be there. I used to be one of those guys, but no, I can't go.
Snapped
I
out of
can't
it.
go back now.
Yeah, no, you've gone into deep, out of the matrix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
No,
good.
it is a bit of a matrix. I've talked to quite a few people about that. I think it's interesting. It's not just me who sees it like that. I know Andrew Tate
No.
talks about it. Raphael was saying about it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Um,
But then how do you what is your recharge schedule, or how do you re- recharge yourself? Because obviously at some point you have to,
yeah,
with
yeah.
school, with gym, with synthesizing and everything else.
What do I do? I mean, I find
Do you have a girlfriend, for example?
no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay. That's probably one other reason which makes it easier.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't really do that much else, to be honest. I mean, it's not like I'm not pushing it like stupid hard. Like, I still get like good amount of sleep and stuff. And because I'm like
But
switching between things, I don't find it's like. But don't know. To be honest,
yeah, you
I
just,
don't know.
you just sleep.
I
Would you
just
like take walks in the
Yeah,
park
yeah,
or?
yeah. I go for like walks and stuff, and well, I do find the gym
Oh,
pretty therapeutic, to be honest.
no, it is.
People talking about how like if your mind's kind of messed up, you go and do physical stuff, and
Yeah,
if
definitely.
your body's like kind of messed up, then you do like mental stuff. So
Yeah. No, definitely. I used to always find it very interesting. If we had like an argument with my wife, if I go play basketball, I come back in a different mood, and I find that most times you find that she's still waiting for us to pick up where we left off, and I'm like, I'm already out of it. I'm already burned up all the steam that I need to burn up by pushing other men there, and playing hard and stuff. It's very therapeutic. I promise you. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body.
yeah. Anything else you want to ask? Because I don't
No, I
really.
think for me, I think on your side, I mean, your journey in terms of where you are pushing yourself to in terms of synthesizing uh, these channels. What's your plan?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm
Because I
good.
mean, you're starting very early, so I mean, obviously, you are way ahead of the pack in terms of your generation, and I know some are still getting into it. I know there's what's the guy that from India that you also had a podcast with?
Arjun Kamani.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you guys are like really top of the class, really.
Yeah. I've had this question a few times. I've just focused on like scaling it, making like better and better videos, podcast, like speaking to new
Yeah,
maybe
I
like
think, sorry to interrupt. I just want to understand it. Now, that part I've got already. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
like, do you see yourself? working full time and not going pursuing school further? Maybe let me ask it that way.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, say for instance, you still have to go to college and stuff. Do you see yourself going out of the whole system? Because I heard you guys talking very bluntly about school, you and
Yeah.
Aisha. Yeah. And being full time in this, and then that's your life, or do you still feel you want to just complete the whole general way of
Yeah, okay.
growing up and then jump
Yeah,
onto
yeah, I
this?
understand the question. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, thanks for interrupting me. That's good because otherwise I would have just kept talking, and yeah, that wasn't what
And
you wanted to
I
know.
remember that answer. You answered a couple of times.
Yeah, so do I want to? I would like to do this full time, definitely. Do I want to stop school? So I'm in. It's called like college in the UK, but it's like it's not university college. It's like before that.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'm recently turned 17. I think I'm gonna finish this part because, like I was talking with Raphael, like I do not think there's any way my parents would let me.
Okay.
But university, I do not think right now I'm gonna go. To be honest, I think I would like to. I do want to go this full time as soon as possible. So I'm just basic. That's why I pour like loads of my free time into this.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go to university. My parents want me to. Um, could just do what Mr. Beast did and go to college, but like not actually do any work and just make YouTube videos.
Look at him now. Interesting.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know to be honest. Yeah, but
That's a
I
great
think
answer.
maybe I was talking to Mia literally just before this. We were doing a podcast. Like I might go for like a gap year or something, go travel a bit and like explore. Or maybe I thought about going to like university in a different country because I feel like that would be a good like experience. I'd like grow a lot
Oh, that would be interesting.
because I do want to go out and visit different places, not just the UK.
Yeah. The world is big, man. You need
Um,
to explore it.
yeah, that's pretty much my answer. I think. Anything else?
That sounds very clear, very good. And then your dating, how you gonna balance that out? Like, are you planning on, or you just still? The reason why I'm asking because I feel like with my journey, I mean, I was very fortunate. I don't want to lie to have been with the same person for the past couple of years, and even though we had differences of, we all have our own ambitions, but eventually we came to an agreement where we kind of all pushing towards the same objectives, if I may put it that way. And I actually think earlier on that was probably one of the biggest threats to anything that I could be doing, because you know how I think I like this one picture where they show even a Hulk bending down to this woman who's kind of hugging him. They say even the strongest man there's always that one woman that can put him down and make him either lose his ambitions or get him really driven, So that becomes one of like the hardest choices you probably have to make in life.
Yeah, this I don't know. My answer might be a bit. I don't know what the word is. Cynical, maybe. So I know a lot of guys who would say like they wouldn't focus on like getting girlfriends or like getting married till they're like 25 plus,
Yeah.
like properly like spending like a lot of time and like so I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think I do want to have children probably, but not like soon really.
Oh,
But I don't know. I think honestly, it might just be like stay by myself and just keep working for like next 5 years at least, and then see what happens. I don't know.
no rush though. I was just asking because I almost find it very interesting in this type of spaces where I see a lot of successful people are mostly single, and or they're dating multiple chicks, nothing serious. And it used to bother me at first, but obviously now with the Alex Omoze and Layla, it just kind of
Yeah, yeah.
gave me that little bit of hope to say, you know what, you can actually team up all the way up. But I really always wanted to have like a companion growing up versus, making it and then having all this money. Now you don't know whether they're in
Who
it
to
for the
trust?
money or they're in it for you,
So
because now
yeah,
you're already wealthy.
completely
It's
agree.
hard to trust.
No, there are definitely a good example. It definitely can be done. I don't know. I'm not saying no, but I need to find like the right kind of
Nothing.
person, like who will actually be like, yeah, like exactly like you said, like similar interests and stuff. Because I feel like if you choose like the wrong person, that can really, really be bad. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I know people who like they get
It's
divorced
probably
and
worse than being single. Yeah, it's probably worse
yeah,
than being single. You know, you might as well stay single the rest of your life if you have to.
especially like I've
And
also seen people who get like divorced and like it messes them up financially and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
no, I'm in no rush. Basically, is the answer.
No, that's good. That's good. Now you're still young. You know,
I,
you're
I
still
also
allowed
I
to.
also have I also have a brother, so I feel like we've talked about like living in like a house together maybe because we're
Okay.
very like close and like
You guys are gonna do the Andrew Tate stuff setup.
yeah, maybe that's someone else said that I think
Yeah.
before. Yeah, similar kind of thing maybe to that because we're very close. We have very similar goals. He also has a YouTube channel. He wants to
Awesome.
be full time on that.
What is his content, by the way? What is he doing on YouTube?
Minecraft videos.
Oh, okay.
So I
Just
got
so
maybe like the companionship you were talking about. I feel I've already got that.
you
I
got it.
guess
No, that's
so.
good. Yeah.
We'll see what happens though. I don't know. I just
No,
don't want to like. I feel like if you rush into it, it can really be bad, and you don't want to like be tied down and stuff like too early if you're not really sure what you're doing. And it's also
no, for
like
sure.
other people to look after. So
No, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to edit just because you felt like you wanted to. You know, you must really be sure when you make that choice. And then maybe for me, just last question is, what's your fear?
my what fear?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I actually have this on my bedroom wall. It's like on a nail. It's like nailed in the wall. The nail was already
Hmm.
there, and I just put it on like a post-it note.
Okay.
It's a quote. It says, "My greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. My greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure." It's not my. I didn't say that, but I think
So,
probably my biggest fear is not reaching my potential and like getting distracted or like wasting time and not being able to achieve what I want to achieve or like reach the levels I want to reach because I got distracted by something else or I just was too lazy. So I'd say that's probably it.
that's powerful. No, I know the quote, but I think you've really put it nicely there. That is very
It's
powerful.
like if you were hoping for like an answer like spiders, well, nope, you're not getting it.
No. That's Jamie's fear.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
Well. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have a question for you. What would you like give advice to your younger self if you could go and speak to like Nkateko like I don't know 10, 15 years ago? What would you say to him?
I don't want to use the F word, but I would tell him, F it, you know. Don't stop listening to people, stop thinking, you know, like I think I grew up in a space where, especially as a young person, I was probably an A student. And, you
Mm.
know, being an A student, you're almost expected to live up to a certain standard. So you kind of feel you don't want to let down the expectations from around the people, you know, like people around you, especially close ones. So my initial biggest mistake I made was obviously feeling like I'm not. When life started changing for me earlier on, I felt like I'm not living up to that A standard level, and I kind of almost like decided, you know what, what's the point? I kind of threw in the towel, and it's because I had felt that I'd already let people down,
Mm.
and I actually didn't, but I felt like because I wasn't living up to the A standard that I was supposed to, and that kind of played with me big time. So I would tell my younger self, you know what, just do what you want, as long as obviously it's not out there to harm anyone and make someone's life miserable. You're just doing it because you see a value in it. Go for it. And if you make mistakes, it's good for your own learning curve. As long as you don't get arrested and don't kill someone or don't kill yourself. You know, those are the main things. Because a lot of things that I kind of overthought. I mean, I ended up becoming an overthinker. I know I'm one of those people. It's because of that. It's because of
Okay.
I was always worried of not making my mom happy or my dad happy. And I mean, one person that I really, really had a huge impact on me was my grandma. And she lived her life with this mindset of keeping stuff to a better future. Like she used to buy stuff with a little money that she had, and she used to save it for whenever the time is right. And when she passed on, my heart was so broken because I couldn't really even myself use some of the stuff that she's been keeping her whole life. So I almost felt like I can't even use it myself. I don't really have a requirement for it. If I have to keep it, I would just be keeping it for the sake of keeping it, just to gather dust. But it's not something that would be useful to me. Now I'm thinking, had she been alive and used that money for her own pleasures and her own, life, well, it was probably better spent, because now those things that she collected and put so much value in, right now they just lost all the value because she's the one that really understood their value. So it's almost like, don't live too much in the future, live in the moment, live in the present moment, face whatever you're facing now, and just go for it. There is no one thing for me. I don't have specific regrets, like, I wish I could have, because I feel everything that I'm living is supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. Even the mistakes that I've made or opportunities I've missed, I feel like maybe it was supposed to be, so that I could learn the lesson the hard way, and
Yeah.
then for me to not miss it again. So I think I'll tell my younger self to stop thinking too much about other people versus yourself.
Screw
Just
it. Let's
make,
do it.
make yeah, just fuck it, fuck it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Okay, I was just interesting
Yeah.
because I was talking to my brother about this the other day. How I was thinking about like how people talk about like regrets. I feel like if you don't like who you are today, then you're probably gonna have regrets. Whereas if you do like who you are today, you probably won't have regrets, because even if you made mistakes, if you like who you are today, if you regret
Live with it.
something, you're kind of saying like I if you regret something and you wanted to change it, you might not be how you are now. So
Mm.
if you like the way you are now, you're kind of glad those mistakes kind of happened because that managed to make you into who you are today.
Yeah. That's it. That's so true. That is so true.
Um,
And I think that's the best way to live. No regrets. Hey.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're always having to choose between the red and the blue pill. Just choose one and then live by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was like your grandma kind of? What do you mean like people didn't understand the value? What was it, like jewelry and stuff? Or,
Not really jewelry. Like it was. I think there probably was some jewelry there. There's probably like some nice clothes. There's like she used to make her own money somehow. Besides the grant that you get from the government, she used to make her own money by selling stuff. She's a gardener, so she obviously used to plant stuff, and people used to buy from her. She's also by selling sweets to kids. She was very entrepreneurial in her own space, in her own way. And I think probably that's where my genes come from, also being independent and making your own. But then she would buy stuff like cutlery and you know things that she would really be so excited in the near future to be using, or she can see the picture in terms of how it's gonna be,
yeah.
fitting into it. But she never got to use it. And I was, like I'm saying, when she passed on, it was in 2011. Some of the stuff was still in like very good condition, and then when we kind of left like, those things, they started to deteriorate, obviously, with time. Like some stuff which are plastic, they started to wear off by themselves, and you feel like, what was the point for her sacrificing her life to keep all these things?
Mm.
And then the next generation does not even see value in it, because things have changed. I mean, like, I'll give you an example of a bath. Like there was, like, we used to, when we were growing up, we used to wash in containers, like a dish. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
explain it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know what you mean.
now we don't need that because we got baths and showers and stuff. So she had like that, some stored up for future in case this one breaks. You can use this one. There's buckets. There's all funny things. But I'm saying, to her, it was her life's worth of value, money. She could have done something with that.
Yeah, like they say, you don't want to be like the richest man in the graveyard. Like you don't just want
Yeah.
to accumulate all this stuff and then.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
no point.
I mean, obviously, there's like kind of the balance to that is you don't want to just like spend it all like crazily, but yeah, you do
Yeah.
want to take it and make sure you do enjoy life.
So I think it all comes down to, at least in between this whole journey, you kind of force yourself to stop and breathe and appreciate and enjoy it for what it is.
Mm.
Like I'm going through this moment. I mean, if I was going through, like, let's say if I was the richest person right now in my family, I would be enjoying that. I wouldn't be saying, "Oh man, I could be poor," which is the other side of the mindset that could play with me. I'd be enjoying that. So now I'm in the lower side of the equation.
Mm.
Let me enjoy it because at least I'm here. By the
Yeah.
time I get up there, I don't want to be there and then wish, like, not feel like I deserve to be there. I would want to enjoy it more because I've been in the low side of things and I had fun riding the roller coaster ride going down. Now it's up there. I'm gonna enjoy it as well. So it's a matter of like live as the day comes, just make the most of it. Also, because there's no guarantee we might even
Mm.
get to those
Yeah, exactly.
destinations. So
You got
why even put everything up front there?
enjoy the journey,
Yeah,
even if it's like challenging. I still find like you can enjoy it because you just know this is gonna get you closer to your goals. That's what like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to always say. They used to say to him like, "Why are you always smiling in the gym or something?" All these other bodybuilders are like, they're like fed up that they have to lift more weights, and he's like, I was always super happy because I knew it was getting me like closer to my goal,
nice.
which I think is a good one. I was gonna say something else. Yeah, I think it's something I see common like quite a lot when I've asked people. I know Jamie Barkley was saying this, how when I say like what would advice would you give, like a lot of people seem to say like, oh, I wish I kind of did things for me more than other people, like care about like what I want to do, not what they want me to do. So I think that is a really good takeaway.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so unless there's anything else, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a nice way to end it because if you think about it, everything we are doing for ourselves. Even with me, with whatever initiatives I'm doing because that's the environment I want to live in. Like I want to make sure that I walk the streets with my kids and feeling safe. So that's why I have to do something to. So in a way, everything is a selfish, selfish ambition
And I
because
think that's
we're doing.
okay. Like a lot of
Yeah,
times
no,
people say like
definitely.
don't be selfish. It's like if you don't look after yourself, no one's gonna
We
look after
will.
yourself more than you, you know. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
need to be like super selfish and at the
Yes.
expense of other people, but if you're not hurting anyone, you need to look after
Yes.
yourself first and then you can help other people, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
anywhere that you want people to send you, I'll put your YouTube channel link in the description of this. Anything else?
Jeez. I'm still obviously growing with my channel, so it's just my name and surname, Nkateko Siweya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one that definitely I'm comfortable for people knowing that it's me for
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
But then the other channel that will probably be popping very soon, hopefully before end of next week.
Oh,
The one
wow.
which is probably going to be controversial and provoking and everything. I can't say it because then they'll know it's me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But obviously,
No
you
problem.
will know it's me. You will know it's me
Have
definitely.
you got a video ready for that?
No, it's actually not going to be a video of me. Like it's more like clips from gathered from different
Yeah.
environments. Like for instance, I'm talking. The first one is why is Africa so dirty?
Hmm.
Like
Is
that's the
that
first thing.
is that nearly ready? That video?
Yeah, I've got clips. I just need to put them together.
Okay,
So I've
cool.
got clips of different spaces which are showing the slums and dumps about
Hmm.
how people are. And obviously, I just want to poke the minds in terms of why are we allowing ourselves to be like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I
because
might I might have,
I studied
yeah.
Nigeria in geography, and we were learning about like Makoko, I think it was, like the floating slum in like the
Oh
lagoon.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
crazy,
disgusting.
man.
It's
Yeah.
disgusting. But then you would find those people blaming the government. The government doesn't live there. It's the people themselves that are doing it to themselves. It's just that they feel like it's that the quote I was looking for is what's good for the environment is good for me, and what's good for me is good for the environment.
Mm.
So every time people mistreat the environment that they live in and they expect that it's gonna be benefiting them, it's a misconception. It's a very sighted way of thinking about things. Because even where you are living, it's you guys that are taking care of that space more than the street sweepers and stuff. You as the one that really first and foremost don't have to treat it like trash.
Yeah.
So yeah, why are
Okay.
we so dirty? I don't know. But anyway, I might have given away the title there, but hopefully no one listens to this to know it's me.
Should be all right. We're right at the end. What else was I gonna say? Yeah. When's your next video gonna be on your like personal channel?
can I make a commitment and say today? No, no,
Today
today's Thursday.
or
Today's
2 days?
Thursday. No, I was
Wednesday today.
thinking, yeah, let's do it Thursday. Because remember, my biggest learning curve was the video editing software, which
Yeah.
was like a huge stepping stone for me. But I'm almost done with that.
So new video
So let's say
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is out. Yes, yeah.
All right. I'll be keeping you. Be keeping you to that.
Now I'm probably will send you a link before you even ask about it.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks for chatting, man. I think your story's great. What you're doing is great. Like what you're trying to do to help people. Yes, really really respectable.
And showcase the power of the internet. I mean, at the end of the day, we are in this online game. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Keep
play it,
helping
man.
people.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah. See ya.
It was
Thank you.
nice talking
Goodbye.
to you. Cheers. Bye.